Today we are working the same way before, so it looks like, yep, got the camera that's only one single camera, still going with the YouTube Live, working directly off of YouTube instead of the OBS system. But so it's a little awkward still. I haven't gotten used to it like this, but it's been definitely a windy day today and super warm here. But what I'm doing is I'm working on this acrylic painting that we've been doing. It's all seasons painting, and it's a part of my hamster series. So we are going to start this off. We're going to be painting on a 4th of July hat along with a butterfly and some flowers. So instead of showing, geez, how windy it was today, I'm going to go ahead and turn it around so you guys can see the painting. So we're going to put this into a position where you guys can see maybe a little bit better. Yeah, I just came back from being outside and the wind started blowing. Oh my goodness. I know allergies have been really, really bad here too. So it hasn't really been the greatest on allergies. All right, so what we're going to be working on, last week we worked on the little mushroom, and then we worked on this little 4th of July ribbon. I'm really hoping this comes out kind of clear. It's like weird how my camera, I'm going to try and get it into focus. So maybe that's okay. So yeah, we're going to be working on the hat and the butterfly in acrylic. And this is just a place where we can chat. If you are working on some art projects at home, and let's just say you have some questions, I'm here to answer any questions that you guys have. Or if you're just wanting to see some of the process that I do for creating some of my paintings, then this is a good place to watch for acrylic painting. And you can see the steps that I do in order to create this really big piece here. And we'll just be working on this one until we can finally get this piece done. And once it's done, then we can move on to another one. So we'll end up doing, I got a few of them that I have ideas for. So we're going to start out, like I said, working on this little 4th of July hat. So of course it's red, white, and blue. And the colors I'm going to use is just some like cadmium red deep hue. I got some azalean for maybe some of the shadowing in the back for the red. We might just put in there that Nathaniel, I think it's called, I can't even pronounce things. It's really bad. Crimson is in there. And then for the blue, we're going to use our primary blue along with probably some of this Persian blue. Now, I always like throwing in Payne's Gray to darken everything. And of course, we're going to use our white with our Payne's Gray mixtures to create kind of like a shadow in the white, because you don't want to go straight light white unless you're using it for a highlight. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting these colors in here so that way we can get started. And this is also another way that I can actually have time to work on this painting because it's making me work. It's like, okay, instead of doing all these other paintings that I'm doing or working on or drawings, that I don't end up finding time to maneuver and change over to do these. So I created this live stream to where, you know, anybody can come in, chime in, who's a subscriber, can come in, chime in, and just say hi or chit chat or, you know, who wants to watch while I work on this painting. So right now I'm putting in all my colors over here on this pad. And I know I used to have a camera that was set up for it, but everything went down on my OBS and I was unable to get it to work. And it wasn't my internet. So I have no clue what went on there. It just decided to be mean to me. So I just got one more color, which is our primary blues, and then I got our red, whites, and blues in here. And then we'll move on. I'm going to give my colors a quick spritz using the ultra fine sprayer mist. And I just give it a nice spritz so that way it's nice and wet. So that way it's not too thick. So let's go ahead and start in here. I'm going to take some of this base tone first. And we're just going to paint in. I mean, basically this here is just a little hat. We'll have to add more than just one layer. We'll have to add in at least maybe 2 layers, if not maybe 3. I'm using the Liquitex Basics right now. I do like them. They're more translucent, which makes it to where you're wanting to add more layers to it. So if you have issues with like layering and not really wanting to layer, but only putting 1 layer down, if you put enough water on these, kind of dilute it so that way it's easier to make brush strokes and not dry brush. But this here will actually make it to where you have to layer. So there's my red. I'm not really worried about lights and darks at the moment. I'm just putting in my base layer. So there is my base layer. If you're just learning what a base layer is, just a layer of paint, or you can even do it with your color pencil or other mediums, is a layer that you can you can still go darker with, or you can go lighter with. So it's not your darkest tone, but it's just kind of like right there in the middle. I can always make it darker or it could go lighter. Gosh, the wind was horrible. I was we had high wind advisories and all that stuff going on here. But I think it was like 20, 30 miles an hour. At least I think that's what the straight line was. I went out there and it's like my whole hair went to flying. I was like, okay. Maybe I shouldn't have went out right before a live stream. Probably only going to work on this for probably about an hour. Well, this time I think I got carried away and we went an hour and a half. I usually work about 2 hours on them each live stream, but since my OBS is went kaput and I'm having to work with one camera system and you guys can't see me mix paint or any of that, I've kind of reduced it down to an hour. And if you're watching this on the rerun, it's really super nice to have you guys even on the rerun. So like if you watch it later and you're not on the live, it's really sad that I don't get to see you guys on the live, but I'm still, happy that you guys are able to watch. Okay. Now I mixed up a little bit of my Payne's Gray and some of my primary blue for this one here. So I made it just slightly darker than the norm, like just regular paint with no mixture in it. It's going to be toward the top. It's going to be a little bit darker, but I could still go darker and I could still go lighter with it. Since it is the top of the hat, which is going to be more where the sunlight ain't really, or the light from the little sparkler that I'm going to end up putting toward the end. It's going to be a little bit darker than the blue, or actually that's going to be white. So we're actually safe there. This here is going to be blue. So I'm going to make it just a little bit lighter. Working with some fine detail here. Really probably thought maybe I should have took out a smaller round detail brush. There we go. Getting in and around these little stars here. And these aren't perfect little stars, but they're as close as I could get them. Okay, so now we got our blue in there, at least our first layer. I want to come back over to right here where the white would be, and I'm going to take some of my white and mix a little bit of my Payne's gray in it. Which is basically going to make like kind of like this bluish gray look tone to it. And that is what I'm going to use for my white. And the reason why is because that would make a good base layer. I can always go darker, but yet I can always go lighter too by using a straight white to create any kind of highlights. So you don't want to put your base layer, if it's white, as being just plain white. Leave your brightest highlight, the white, as being your brightest highlight. Don't go straight in white. So you can definitely tell the difference between white as a canvas and, or like the board, and you can tell the difference here. But when I paint these both in, it's going to look like it's white with a shadow. Okay, got one more star. It's kind of a half star. There we go. So we got our stars filled in. So now, since I've been working on the blue, I've been working on the stars for the white, we're going to go back to the red because that should be basically dry by now. So I'm going to come in. I know I use more of a medium tone red, but I'm actually going to come in with more of a darker, like our azalea red. I think that's what it is. This here, yeah. Our azalea crimson hue. I might kind of darken this up just a little bit. Darken that up. I'm going to add another spritz of water with my fine mist sprayer to the paint so that way it doesn't dry out. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add a little bit of this darker red in the back corner here. And a little bit over here. Which, don't worry, if it's not dark enough, you're still good. I can always go darker if needed. I'm going to rinse my brush off. And I'm going to come in here with more of a lighter red. I think this one here is that Nathaniel or whatever it's called red. It's not my brightest red though. I'm going to add some to this part here. Could go with my Pyro red, which I really like that Pyro red. Okay. I'm going to take that same Nathaniel, Nipethal, I don't know how you pronounce it, red. You know, there's some people who are just like, you need to learn how to pronounce things right. I'm like, okay, I need to learn how to pronounce things right. I could look on Google, ask Google to tell it for me, but then I end up like forgetting what I just learned. So then I'm like, okay, now I forgot. It looks super bright on the camera. It's really not as bright as what it looks like on the camera. It's actually more of a darker look to it. So now I'm going to go ahead and darken up the top of the hat. So I'm going to add some of that, I think it's like Prussian blue with some of my Prussian blue and the Payne's gray. And I'm going to darken this up quite a bit here. I'm going to add a little bit of water to that because I don't need it that thick. Okay. And you see I left a little bit of that showing, like the outside edge of that. Because I do believe the light would be kind of hitting top part of that edge here. So I'm going to come in here with a little bit more of a lighter blue that I use for the stars. I'm going to kind of mix that and blend that in with some of that darker blue. That wasn't too watery. Okay. I'm not too worried. If you see these little edges right around here, I think you can see them. There's like these little like marks right around the back edge of that. That is basically the brown in the background where I didn't come all the way down to the hat. So I would just use some of my browns and come back through and just clean up those edges using my darker browns and my browns mixture to kind of clean up the edges right around the hat. But right now, the hat looks really good. You got this darker transition. I don't know if that'll That makes it too dark. I wonder if I can turn on a light. Not that I don't have enough light in here. I can almost make it so bright. I always like mingling with these lights to make sure it doesn't look closer to what I'm looking at. Let's see what that does. Still makes it really bright. It'll be all right. So now I need to, since I did that blue, we're going to have to make another coat of blue on that. And I'm going to use still my same kind of color that I used on it before. But we're just going to add another layer to it. I think it's the, I'm using the primary blue and like a Sicilian blue mixed in with it. I got me a whole bunch of picture frames. We had a yard sale this week. And I got me, like, my neighbor was selling, like, she had a big yard sale. And she was selling a bunch of picture frames. And she knew I did artwork. So she's like, here. And she gave me a really good deal on them. So now I got a whole bunch of picture frames. Now they are older picture frames, so I've been really tempted to kind of restore them a little bit, but I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot of time to do that. I'm gonna cut that star down. I don't like the way it looks there. That looks a little better. There. So now we got a second layer on that. So now I've got a whole bunch of, should I say, I created a whole bunch of work for me. So I'm going to take some of this Payne's Gray and white mixture that I did this on. I added a little bit more Payne's Gray to it to give it more of a darker tone. And I'm going to come in here and darken this up a little bit. Right on the edge. Right in there. Okay. And then I'm going to come in here ever so slightly. Darken that star up just a little bit. And I want to darken this one up just a little bit on the edge. Looks like I'll have to clean that up with some brown. So now I got two edges that are a little bit darker. I'm going to take some of my white and a little bit of the light where I had that Payne's Gray and white mixture. I'm going to add a little bit more white to it. So I'm making it lighter. And I just want to put an edge, like a strip in here. Maybe to here. That looks good. I'm going to come in here with the same color, my mid-tone color, and I just want to add a little strip to this edge here. That way we got a good transition from light to dark. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to do the same here. Oops. I went into my red. That is okay though. As long as it doesn't dry, we can still clean that up. Add a little bit of shadow, kind of like curving in on that. Now I'm going to come in and clean up that little part where I went into the red. And all I'm doing is just taking a little wet brush that's not too sopping wet because you don't want it to run. I'm just kind of cleaning the edges off on that. That looks really good. Okay, so now I'm going to take some of my light color that I stuck in here. I'm going to stick it for a second layer in some of these stars. Okay. Now we got to go back to the red, and what I'm going to do is kind of darken that red up. So I'm going to take the darkest red I got, which is that Azalean, and I'm going to add just a touch of my Payne's Gray, which of course, if it's got blue in it and a little bit of red, you're going to have more of a purpley kind of color. That's fine. I am fine with that. I'm going to add some more shadow to this. Right in that area. I'm going to add a little bit of shadow in here. And there is a gnat flying around my painting. I hope he doesn't get stuck in it. That is horrible. Okay, and I'm going to add a little bit of the darker red that I mixed up to the edge of the hat in here. I'm going to go ahead and smooth this out. I'm using just the regular darkest Azalean red, just to kind of go over that and transition it. But I need to stick a little bit more of the dark. Looks like it kind of went away. I'm going to put a little bit more in there. Okay. So now that I darken that up, let's go in here and add another coat of our blue. So I'm using the same color blue on there, but then I'm going to go back in and add some of our Prussian blue and Payne's Gray mixture. Just so that way I can smooth that out just a bit. Just looking a little bit translucent. There, I like that. But I'm going to add a little bit of that same shadowy blue on the bottom here. I want to kind of work in some of these stars too. And this little back corner, make that a little darker. Want that to look a little worn. I like that. And then we'll come in here with that same type of Sicilian blue and primary blue mixture. I want to add another layer to it. I want this to look aged. So I'm not too worried about some things in it, but that looks really good. I'm really happy with that. I just wish it would came out a little bit clearer. It looks really fuzzy. I don't know why. If I lift it up, it kind of looks a little better. It's kind of weird how that's looking on the camera wise. I'm going to clean up some of the edges in the background here because it kind of bothers me too. So if it bothers you, it probably is bothering you as much as it's bothering me. Okay. It's a little bit better. Put a little bit more of a darker color kind of streaming down there. Here we go. It doesn't have to be perfect. It is very ruggedy and old. Clean my brush off. Now, if I'm wanting to add a little bit more of a highlight to it, I do have a Pyro Red. And I absolutely love it. This is it right here. It is like super, super red. I mean, it's super bright. Don't need much of it, even though quite a bit came out. I'm going to give it a good spritz. And now I'm going to come in here and I want to add some to it. I want to add just a little bit of a highlight to it. So there's a little bit of that Pyro Red in there toward the middle. But now I'm going to come in here with more of my, I don't know what it's called. It's just the regular Nathaniel Red. I think that's how you pronounce it. So I'm going to put that in there. We have to clean up the edges real quick on that. And then if I want to, I can come in here with more of my straight white and add a touch of highlight. Maybe coming right down. A little bit of a white highlight in there. And maybe toward the top edges of some of these stars here. So we're going to come like that and come over. Maybe some in the center, just a little bit, but mostly on the edges here. There we go. Got some highlights in there. And now I really like that hat. Oh my gosh, it looks really good. And the thing is that I wish the camera would like zoom in a little bit more. But there we've got the hat. And yeah, we got some edges to kind of clean up in there. It's coming out really a whole lot brighter than what it looks in person. Especially on how it does not, even my hand's a little blurry. I wonder if I clean that off. Maybe I smudged the camera. So it's going to go black for just a little bit, but just to make sure there ain't no dust or debris on it. It's a soft cloth. No, it really does not like me. So maybe if this is going to be blurry like this, I'm really kind of thinking that I may end up doing a video basically on this. I wonder if I can get closer. Let's just bring it down like this. Now you get to see my little hamster. He's my little art buddy for now. Oh, for a moment, it was like clear. For a moment. Okay. Well, that's a little better. Even though it's way super brighter and on the lights than what it looks like in person. I'm going to kind of turn the lights down a little bit, but it's really dark for me and it's still really bright on the computer. So I don't know. There ain't no hope for it. I can't be looking at something that dark for me. So let's go ahead and we're going to work on the butterfly because that is our next. And I'm really excited about the butterfly. So we also got the flowers. And we are in about 35 minutes. That ain't too bad to do a whole entire little hat there. So the flowers are going to be really fun. So as you can tell, there is a lot missing. Like it looks like it's just been cut off. And we do not want our flowers cut off. So what we are going to do is we are going to put just regular white down. Give it a good spritz. Now this is just straight white. And now we're just going to look at our photo or reference photo or any of that and just kind of draw in like these little leaf petals or like these little flower petals. Like we're doing like little flower petals so they can go in any kind of direction. Doesn't really have to be, I guess, perfect to the reference photo. It's like maybe one right in there. Little flowers, little flower petals, kind of going over. Kind of a bigger one there. That one looks like it's missing its little loop. Let's take some more white. I don't know why I got so much white, and I got way too much white. Okay, so I'm just kind of adding in some petals. Of course, we're going to have some green, like little limbs, maybe like right in there. Oh no, we could make a little limb kind of go out there. Put some flowers. Okay. So now our flower petals are kind of trickling on over the edge just a little bit. Now you can always, once you get started, if you're thinking, okay, I would really like it to trickle just a little bit more, you could end up doing that too. Right now we're not gonna go that far with it. So I'm gonna let that dry. And we are gonna work on this butterfly. So I'm going to take actually my Sicilian blue that we have here. And I want to be able to go lighter or go darker with it. So I can stick with just probably straight Sicilian blue on him. But I want to make sure that his wings are kind of separated here. So we're going to put in these first. Okay, we're going to come down to the edge here. Just kind of come around, just kind of making an outline around some of these areas. Now it seems to me like his top part is a lot darker than his bottom part of his wing here. So I'm actually going to come back through and kind of lighten it just a little bit. And then there's some oranges in there. So this butterfly is not going to be. Usually whenever I'm doing like my pencil drawings or color pencil or even soft pastel, really pay attention to detail. And on this one here, I'm actually going to go a little bit more looser on him. Just a little bit. He's still going to have detail in him, but I just want him to have more of a looser light feel than being too distracting away from the painting to where you're staring at everything, being super, way too like pulled from a photo. And believe me, I have paintings to where I've done them and they just look a little wonky because it looks like the way I painted it, looking at the reference photo, doing all these really fine details to make it look just like the reference photo. And what happened is that I made it look so realistic that it looked like a collage that you just cut out pieces of the magazine and then stuck it in there. So I'm like, okay, we need to make things a little bit more looser, and that will definitely help. So now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make the top portion of the little butterfly wing a little bit darker. There is going to be some dark navy blue, some more, or not navy blue. I don't know why I said dark navy blue. Payne's gray. Let's make that a touch bit more darker. It's not dark enough. I'm going to take a little bit of Payne's gray. And I am going to stick that in there. Because I definitely want to break up these wings. Okay. There. Just going to try and fill it in the best I can. Even though there is, on the top portion of his wing, he doesn't really have any like yellows or anything like in the bottom. He's got more of like, I would have to say more of like, even like a Payne's gray or a darker blue. I'm not going to say a navy blue, but kind of gets the point across, a darker blue. Okay, looks a little bit too close. Just kind of make that just a little bit darker. Kind of coming in here. It's got a little bit of a darker edge kind of in there. And I want to kind of make a strip going down, which is good for a base. If you're not really liking the, I'm going to give the canvas a light spritz. And if you're wanting to kind of smooth it out and get rid of some of those brush strokes, if you're wanting to do that, I use just like an oval mop, or you can use what I call is a fluffy filbert. So like, and so if you hear me say a fluffy filbert, if you guys see my Patreons, fluffy filbert just means a filbert that is, as you can see, it's fluffy. So I use those. Or like, here's a mop brush. So I'll just take it and just kind of go over very lightly. This here, it looks like it already started to dry. And you can easily blend it in, but that there, I just kind of waited a little bit too long and it started drying out on me, which means it just started to remove some of the paint. But if you're doing several layers, excuse me, if you're doing like several layers, then I wouldn't really worry about it too much. Just make sure that you're kind of making your brush strokes go in the same direction. This little wings, the way it goes, and you should be fine. Okay, so we got our little butterfly in there. I want to make sure that I get his eye in, because if I don't get his eye in, then it may end up kind of throwing me off. So I'm going to take a really small round and I'm going to put some of my Payne's Gray on there, and I'm going to try and get his little eye. And maybe even some of his legs. So I really want to see his eyes, like right in there. And then his little antennas got like these little bitty stripes going through it. His legs, let's get those in there. See how his legs look. His legs are coming up and then going back down. May end up needing a darker color than Payne's Gray. Maybe having to use some black in here. It's kind of different. I think it should be going like this. And the leg going down. Okay. Okay, and then we got another one just kind of coming up from here. Coming straight down. Got one kind of hidden in here. And got one kind of coming out in here, which is just fine. We are going to have to, well, we're not really going to have to, but we're going to have a bunch of flowers and greens all in the way. So it ain't really going to matter too much on where that back leg's going, because you may end up having a flower kind of come in there and cover up some of those areas. So now I'm going to come in with more of my Sicilian blue. It's kind of got a little bit of a tint of white. Maybe it's a little bit fuzzy too. So we're just going to put, oops, covered up his eye a little bit there. It'll be fine. I think there was a flower kind of in there right behind his cheek that I kind of covered up. But we can always make adjustments if needed. Let me come in here with the more of this darker color in here and just kind of put it in. And for his little eye. We'll have to make some lighter colors in there to make it pop. We may not get to the flowers in time. We may have to do the flowers and then work on possibly the little pig next week, because we are definitely working in on time here. Let's put a little bit of this light Maybe some little fuzzies in there too. Where's my Mars black? But I have to get a little bit darker on his eye. Just a little bit. I'm going to take some of my black here. I'm making some little textures. I'm going to take some of my black also in here, and I'm going to outline underneath, down the back side of his little legs. There we go. I know that brown in there is really kind of throwing it off, his little head. I'm going to take some of this lighter blue. Actually, I might come in here with a little bit of white. That way when I come in with the blue, I got a little bit more to work with. I go, dang, I'm late. How's it going? Oh, it's going good. It's okay. Yeah, it's been one of those days. A windy day. Making some major progress. Looks great. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's definitely coming across. Or at least coming across. It's coming, it's definitely moving. I'm like, where's it coming across? The chicken across the road. I don't know what I'm thinking today. My brain is definitely gone out the window. But yeah, it's really looking good. Like I'm super excited with it. Now we just got to move. We got to get to the other side because we got the birds and the ghost and the little pumpkins and the turtles. So it's super exciting, and I'm excited that I actually got some frames, and it's already got a frame ready for it. So it's ready to go whenever it gets done. Oh my gosh. Just if we can get there, huh? Now I'm going to put in some darker blue. Let's see here. Am I going the right direction with that? Let's see here. Yeah, that looks good. I want to make this a little bit darker. I'm going to add some blue, a little touch of my black. I want this really dark. Just to make some lines. And then toward the end here, looks like we got some little stuff kind of coming down. Let's try and get these. Okay, and then let's kind of stream this up just a little bit. Really would like to soften it out. I'm just pushing it up with my brush. It's still wet. I don't really want straight lines, like harsh lines. I really want this to be soft because I don't want this to stick out as being like too photogenic, like too accurate. Okay. So we're going to stick a little bit more of these marks in here. They're just like little dots. And then he's got them streamed out kind of in these places in here. Just kind of random. Okay. Now this side has also got them too. I'm just kind of waving it out and then kind of taking it around. Yeah, there hasn't been too much going on besides that yard sale, like I was saying, that we had, and ended up getting a whole bunch of frames. Was super, super excited about that. I'm going to put in some little waves in here. And then we're going to end up making like these little marks in here. I don't know what they are. Definitely some little marks. And then, of course, they're going to have some lighter colors in here. So I'm going to take some of my Sicilian blue, take a whole lot more of my white, and I'm going to make a really light blue. And kind of stick it in here. I think it kind of went past. We're going to go that. I just stuck some of that blue in there, but I'm going to have to come back in and kind of mix some of this other, just the lighter Sicilian blue into it, just to kind of soften it down just a little bit. And if I need to stick any more of the darker tone in there, I can. I kind of darken that up, make that line there. Let's see here. This has actually got a loop on it. So I'm going to add those in. I'm going to come back in with some more of my just regular Sicilian blue. And I'm going to come back in and add some of these little blue dots to it. That way they're there. And then after that dries, I'll come back in with some of the darker. There you go. I'm really wanting his eye to stand out a little bit more. It's just not standing out that much. So I'm going to come in with more of my lighter color in here, and I'm just going to kind of go around it. Make that a little bit fluffier in there anyway, because he's got some little, kind of like these little fluffs going on. So I'm going to do some little fuzzies. I'm going to take some of my darker color and stick it in here because he did have a little bit more of a shade of a darker tone. Kind of in there. There we go. His eye is starting to stand out a little bit more. I'm going to add in these little bitty dots. There's a little antenna here. It looks really rough on the picture. I'm going to add in some light blue. And if I need to straighten that out and make it a little bit less looking so thick, I can always come in with my brown. And kind of take some of that thickness away. Make it a little bit more tinier. It looks really rough on camera. Almost my eyes are just like playing with me here. Okay, and then I want to add in some of my orangey tones. That's all I need. I got so much red out here that all I really need to do is just add some yellow and just mix some of my reds in, and we'll make the orange tones. So I'm just going to use my cadmium yellow deep hue with just some of my regular like red. Just make some red and some yellow. Mix it up. I think it needs to be a little bit more brighter. So more yellow than red on this. And there will have to be a whole lot more darker areas in his wings. Or in this little area here. We'll put that as a base coat. Even though it's probably not dry yet, I just want to come in here and just kind of darken it. I want to make it a little shade darker. It looks too yellow. Okay. Payne's gray, a little bit of black in there, mixture, and we are going to go ahead and put some of these darker areas in here because there is supposed to be darker. Go ahead and put a little bit more of that black. Payne's gray. That didn't look like it actually got dark enough. There we go. That's looking a little better. Okay. We do have some of that darker color also on the tips of his wings in here. So I'm going to come in and just kind of create some of that look. And then we got the lighter tone actually coming in here. Okay. I'm going to take some of this yellow that I have in here and I'm going to kind of put just a little bit in here. Actually, I may want to go a little bit lighter. Actually, it's probably the same color. Good job, Deborah. Let's just grab out the same yellow that I had before. Here we go. A little bit more of a lighter yellow in here. Just toward the ends. Maybe a little speck in there. Makes a big difference when you start adding in some of these highlights and then some of the darker areas to it. If you've got too much of one color, you can always just kind of take some of it away. And once it dries, you can add in some lights so you can kind of go back and forth with it. But the more you layer, the better it's going to look. Because all those layers that you're putting in is just going to make it look better and better. Put in more of a brighter white in here. A little bit of a dry brush there. Add a little bit of water to it. And you can add a little bit of texture to it if you want. I'm adding a little bit of speckles of this lighter color in here. Just kind of speckling it on down. Now I'm going to go up to the top and I'm going to do the same thing because this is not done. Looks like all these little arches and stuff like that that's in here has like a little glance of a highlight. That looks like it's more darker. But all these areas in here got a little speck of a highlight in it. So we'll just make a little dot. If you hear that sniffling in the background, that is my daughter. My goodness, she's got allergies and I gave her allergy medicine like crazy. And she is sniffling so hard. I think sometimes she wants to be noticed. So there's extra sniffles than it was before. Just she wants to let everybody know she's here. She's like, I'm here. Sniffle, sniffle. Sniffle. There, she did it again on cue. So I know she's listening. I know she's listening. A little bit of highlight going in there. So yeah, just the more you layer, the more it's going to look better and better. Let me give all my paints a quick spray. Now I am noticing it gets a little lighter as it starts heading back up. So I'm going to put a little bit of lightness in here. Drew some lines in. I'm going to take more of that neutral color that I was working with and just kind of smudge it in. Just kind of blend that and soften it in. Kind of taper it on down. Not too worried about those dark spots because I can always stick them back in. I can still see them through my painting. So I do kind of like that. It's kind of a nice little transition there. Oh yeah, I'm liking that. That looks pretty cool. So if I'm wanting to add those little lines in, I can go back in because I see where they're at. Maybe I want to add some more to it. There looks like it's some that looks more dark, almost like black. So we're going to stick some in there. adding a little bit more of this darker tone to it on the edges. And then it has a darker blue on the top. So I'm going to come through more of my darker blue. Making sure I don't have anything. And just kind of carry that down to the lighter color here. I don't want that to be a straight edge line. I want that to kind of fade out. Go. I'm going to add a little bit more of my orange. I'm going to start working with that. Just hoping to make it a little bit darker. Some of these areas, it's like in kind of that groove. And then possibly take some of this Payne's gray. And I really want this kind of wetted enough to make it more of like a glaze. Oh yeah. Can you hear her in the background? I think I need to get out some children's Allegra again. She's gonna be running once I say that. Be like, here's some children's Allegra, and then there she goes running. I don't want to miss it. No. Well, you're talking about. Yeah, I can hear you, honey. I can hear you all the way from in here. It's just consistent, but you need some medicine. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to continue on. Sound like that movie, Talladega Nights. I can hear you from over here. Actually, it's smell you, but it's okay. We can say hear you. I can hear you from all the way in here. Okay. Yeah, I'm liking this little butterfly. He is so cute. I don't know if I can get the little strands on them. They are super tiny. We can try and make some faint little ones. They're all over the place. Just put some in there, maybe. Just kind of stream these little guys in there. That one may be a little bit too thick. Try cleaning it up just a little bit with a wet brush. I'm going to kind of slim that down some. There we go. I don't want them that dark neither. The ones up here are kind of dark, the little lines. Let's see here. Let's take that on down. Not too bad. I do see some areas where I want to stick in some of this darker blue that we got here, though. Like, he needs a little bit of contrast going on in here. Let's put some dark. Maybe like right in here. And then maybe right where these wings kind of meet just a little bit. It looks really rough on there. It's kind of funny how the camera picks up so many things that my eyes can't see that makes me wonder if I'm actually blind. Let's try and make that. Could put a glare in his eye. Let's put some of the Payne's gray and the white. Maybe got a little yellow mixed up in there. There might be too much. I'm going to take some black. Kind of outline that just a little bit. I just want to make a little bit of a glare. There. Boy, now I got ambulances passing by. Well, actually, I think that's a fire truck. This actually goes a little bit behind that. Come on, Deborah, don't have a shaky hand. Not today. Shaky hand's not working with me. Transition that just a little bit there. Okay, and I think I got this pretty good here. It looks really rough on camera. I don't know why. He looks so cute. Why is he not coming out looking? I look at the camera and I'm like, oh my gosh. I feel like I'm going to be here all day trying to work on this back and forth if I worked off the camera. Give it a super highlight in here. We're going to give it just a little bit of a super highlight in here. Okay. This brush is getting way too little for what I'm wanting to work on. And I'm needing it a little bit more wetter than what it was. Gotta love the train. So now we're just adding in some little highlights here, just kind of speckling them in. There we go. So now he's looking a little better on camera. It just like the little bottom piece just looks a little bit over dramatic on camera. So I'm going to try and take and eliminate this harsh line just a little bit. Even if I have to add in white or a little bit of a lighter color, kind of take away that harsh line. As long as I don't get away with taking out my little fuzzies. I'm going to come back in with some of my darker color. I'm just going to kind of put that in there, but I'm just going to dab it in there and make it to where it's not all even. It's not really going to be a straight line. Just don't really want it straight. I'm going to let that dry just a little bit. And then I actually want some of my Sicilian blue and a little bit of white mixture. Add a little bit more to here. Not messing with that part just yet because I want to come back in. Let's get some of my Sicilian blue. And I'm just going to kind of trickle just a little bit in there. Now his face looks white. My camera hates me. I think it really does. It's like, hey, now that you're doing this, we're just going to make this change color. Okay, I need to get that brush over there. But he's getting pretty close to being finished up. I'm going to go ahead and take some of my lighter blue, or at least some of my really light blue. This is going to be light enough. Okay. And then let me go ahead and get some of my brown. I'm going to take that away. Okay. May end up needing some more layers in there, but we'll just leave it, I guess, for now. Yeah. That'll be a yellow flower. It'll go away. I guess we'll just go ahead and shape that out just a little bit. There. I think I can deal with that. Black looks a little rough in there. Let's go ahead and just kind of, I think that'll look a little bit better by adding a little bit of blue to kind of break that up. The camera picks up more than my eyes can see. Soften it out, make some individual lines here. And it is super tiny. So this camera here is like picking up what the normal eye is like not capable. It's like, oh my gosh. So if you have a camera like this one here, you can literally spend a really long time on your painting. I made that a whole lot darker. I added a little bit of a highlight to this. I don't want it that dark. That sounded horrible. It sounded like someone crashed. Okay, I think. I'm going to pull this away. We are super close, by the way, because this is actually a super tiny butterfly. Hope I got that right. I'm looking pretty crooked, huh? Maybe in there. Yeah. So that looks a little bit better. I know it's got that darker line, but that darker line keeps on throwing me off. And I don't know if I like it. Like the reference photo has like more of a darker line going all the way through on the top, which I could see that because he's kind of like in this shadow, but it's kind of throwing me off because it just doesn't look right. So I'm almost thinking about just saying the heck with the reference photo, and I'm just going to make this look a little bit better by just adding more of a lighter edge instead of the dark. I think that would look better. Yeah, I'm thinking it might look better because I've been going back and forth with this, but I really didn't like that edge. I'll soften out put a little bit more of a Sicilian blue in there, but I also want to kind of soften the edge of this so we have a nicer, smoother transition than a harsh line. There we go. I'm going to take some of this color and just kind of move it up and over. It's one of those things that you kind of go back and forth thinking, okay, do I like it? Do I not like it? Do I want it more of a richer, maybe a blue? Let's just kind of do this instead, make these little lines. That looks a little bit better. Something like that. Okay, and all right, I think I'm done with this for now. I think I'll have to just sit back, stare at it for a little bit, and if we need to make any kind of adjustments, we can do that on the next video. So I'm thinking that looks pretty good, but like I said, if we need to make any adjustments, we can. And then I said we were going to work on the flowers, but it's already, I've already worked over the hour that I was going to. Was going to only do about an hour today. Went probably an hour and 40 minutes. And yeah, my little butterfly is looking pretty good. There may be just some little things that I might want to do in here, but really, I think I'm going to give my eyes a rest because I'm like getting shaky. But we may end up doing just a couple little things, maybe in here, trying to clean this up a little bit, doing the flowers. And then I'm thinking we should work on the pig. So I think next week we'll be working on our little lucky pig that we did with our oil pastels. We're going to end up painting him on there and along with the flowers. And if we need to make any adjustments to the butterfly, so that way I can stop shaking because for some reason I'm just like, oh my goodness. But anyways, I guess this ends our live stream today. Let me see if I can move this. See, I only got one camera now. You guys are like looking at everything. It's like, hello, there's Mr. Grinch up there. or ceiling fan. All right. I'm like sweating to death too. Should turn on my ceiling fan. All right. So anyways, that's what we're going to be working on next week. I'm not for sure what our random video is going to be. I do have one that I'm going to be starting. I just haven't done it yet. And it's a little hamster, and it's really, really cute, but it's going to be in color pencil. But I may be working on some smaller projects. I have been writing out a sticky pad worth of all these frames. So these are like, I wrote down sizes for paintings, and these are all the frames that I ended up getting like at yard sales, and I started measuring the inside of them. So I have 8x10s, I have 8x10s, 9x12s, I have 1, 4x3 frames, I've got 2, and the list goes on. Like a 5x7 frame, I've got 3 of those frames. So my mission is to create this many paintings, which is like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 paintings to fill these frames. And that's not including the bigger ones. The bigger ones are like a 27 by 21, 27 by 21, really big frame. And the other one is like a 18 by 24s. I had 2 of those. This one's going to go in it. And a 20 by 30. So some of them are going to be custom that I'm going to make for them. So anyways, definitely have my work cut out for me. And I said, I adjusted my heater. It was like super cold in here. So I decided to cut the AC because I was like, oh my God, I'm in a sweatshirt. I'm freezing my butt off. Now that I've cut the AC, I am like sweating. So now AC's got to come back on. So I guess until next time, I'll see you all on the next video. Bye, you guys. If I know how to do this now. Oh, I know how to do it. Bye.